Do you want to launch your own online bookstore? If yes, I want you to listen to this show from A to Z because I'll be sharing with you a lot of hacks on how to succeed right off the bat. So, here are the general considerations I want you to think about. When you think about launching your own online bookstore this year, you have to really understand that the market is very competitive, yet you have avid readers who actually want to enjoy the kind of books you want to sell, okay? And so the heft of the good thing with you will love about launching your own online bookstore is the fact that you can scale real fast because it's all about scalability. I mean, going from 500 customers to 5,000 customers to 5 million customers, who knows, okay? So this is kind of cool because you are able to get things done a lot faster if you have the right strategy, if you have the right technology, and if you have also the right mindset, because it's all about, you got to have this trifecta: the strategy, the technology, but most importantly the mindset in terms of turning your one person bookstore to a 1 million bookstore. Okay, one thing for sure, I want to share with you the steps here. So how do you start an online bookstore this year? So the thing is that when you think about starting an online bookstore, you have to really understand that strategies is kind of quintessential because strategy actually helps you define the specific niche you want to go after. Because books are, I mean, books come in different shapes and forms, but you got to really ask yourself: do you want to do maybe children's literature? You want to do a fiction? You want to do sci-fi? You have to be really clear here, okay? Especially when it comes to scaling, because scaling is going to help you actually make money over time without working harder. That's an important element, but you also have to find a way to have the technology in terms of where do you host your own online bookstore? Do you go for a regular, let's say, e-commerce platform such as Shopify, BigCommerce, or WooCommerce, or do you go for a specific third-party app that helps you set up your bookstore? And also the mindset. The mindset means what? Mindset means that you have to really find a strategy to always boost revenue, to create campaigns, maybe promos, maybe discounts, or what have you, to make sure that you are actually increasing chances of making money. So let me give you like the steps here. So getting started. First steps for booksellers. The thing is that you have to really understand when you think about selling a book or selling books for that matter, you have to think about a few business ideas. Okay, you got to have the right business idea. That's what I was just telling you a little earlier when I was saying about strategy. When I was talking about strategy, I was talking about the right business idea. So you can actually write and self-publish your own book, selling to your fans directly. You can sell used, vintage, rare, or out of print books online. You can offer a specific type of books. For example, it can be textbooks, comic books, coloring books. You can build a business around a specific theme. For example, food, sea life, outdoor living. So it's all about the strategy you want to go after. Also, the niche you want to go after as well. You can sell ebooks or audiobooks online as digital products. You can you can actually cater to a niche audience. For example, children. You can do black women. You can do LGBTQ plus. It really depends on what you want to go after. You can focus on a niche genre. For example, romance novels, Afrofuturism, nonfiction, whatever. I mean, you have a lot of flexibility there. You can also start a book themed subscription box or a bundle, and you can consider a book adjacent business. So for example, you can have book tote bags, library themed fragrances. So that's kind of important to think about. So it's all about the strategy that you have to have in place. And so one thing for sure, you can also say, you know what, I want to sell on Amazon, or I want to sell on my own e-commerce store. It's all about what you want to go after, because see, Amazon is really good because it is actually a behemoth when it comes to e-commerce. It is a giant marketplace. By the way, 20 years ago, 20 or 30 years ago, Amazon started as a book selling platform. Today, the rest is history, right? But you always have opportunities on Amazon. As a matter of fact, you can also go on Amazon audio ebook platform, Audible, and this is actually even better if you want to focus on audiobooks. Okay, But or you can say, you know what, I don't want Amazon. I just want to go for my own e-commerce platforms. And you also have the possibility there to actually set up your own Shopify, BigCommerce, WooCommerce platform to actually sell your books. So when you think about actually launching your own online bookstore this year, you got to really understand that you are going to be competing with massive booksellers. And by massive booksellers, I'm just talking about the fact that you have a very competitive industry. That's all. You know, it's a very competitive industry. So if you do not carve out a niche for yourself, you will be competing with everybody, and that's really tough. Okay, one thing for sure, you got to really choose an area where you want to compete on. You want to compete on price. You want to compete on originality. You want to compete on, let's say, the genre you want to go after. So if you want to launch your own online bookstore, you got to have a specific value added. Okay, what is your value added? You want to differentiate your brand. So work on having a solid brand story, mission, and set of clear values that attract customers looking to support businesses that care about the same things. Okay, be hyper focused. So a bookstore that offers everything for everyone often lacks depth on one particular genre or theme. So by sourcing actually rare and independent titles and staying in your lane, you can build customer loyalty. And you got to have customer loyalty if you want to actually increase revenue. You have to think about that, especially in the long run. Also, you might want to think about offering a curated experience. So for online businesses, that this may include niche book collections that actually go beyond genre, quizzes, or tools to help recommend books based on interest, or even one-on-one virtual shopping consultations. And so from a technology point of view, you have plugins, you have third-party plugins that actually help you actually deliver a better experience to your potential clients. Okay, and physical bookstores can actually offer a warm experience with community-focused spaces and events. So that's kind of cool from a flexibility point of view. That's fantastic. You want to focus on customer service and relationships. It's all about building the relationships not only here but also there. In other words, you got to be across geographies. And small businesses benefits from having a small pool of loyal customers with whom they can build relationships. And other loyalty perks like exclusive events and invest care actually are good because you are able to beef up your customer service strategy over time. And finally, you also want to think about building community. Connect with your biggest fans by building online communities, running in-store events, and hosting virtual book clubs. This is kind of cool. If you want to launch your own online bookstore this year, you have to familiarize yourself with something called ISBN, and also other publishing terms that you actually should know this year. So the thing is that it's not really complicated. It's all about the vision that I was just telling you a little earlier about, right? Vision means what? Mean that you have to know the fundamentals of the online bookstore business. So as you begin your book selling journey and start your own business, you will encounter some trade terms that you should become familiar with before you actually get better, before you make money. So when you think about advanced reading copy, ARC, this is a copy of a book printed before the first official publication. It may not be complete, may lack actually final cover art, or may still be awaiting a final proofread. And ARCs are circulated to book buyers, critics, and press in advance of a book's official release. You also got to think about antiquarian books. So this is actually a term to differentiate collectible books from used books. Vintage, antique, rare, and out-of-print books may actually fall under this category. You also have backlist. So this is the publisher's list of books released prior to the current year or season that are still in print. You can have also a book distributor. So this is a business that warehouses and sells books directly to retail stores, libraries, and sometimes wholesalers on behalf of publishers. So this has some kind of a middleman sort of capacity. You also have book wholesaler. So there's a big difference between book distributor and books wholesaler, because a books wholesaler is a company that buys large quantities of books from publishers and sells them to bookstores, institutions, and libraries. And wholesalers usually get volume discounts from publishers and can pass on a portion of that savings to their customers. And what about the first edition? Now, the first edition is any book copy printed in the first print run of that particular title. And what about ISBN that I spoke about a little earlier? So ISBN stands for International Standard Book Number. This is actually a numerical code used to identify a book. So publishers, retailers, libraries, and other businesses along the book supply chain use this unique number for inventory management and ordering. And books actually published up to the end of 2006 have a 10-digit ISBN, while all books after that period have a 13-digit ISBN. And you also have the list price. So the cover or retail price of a book generally printed on the cover, on the back cover or sleeve. You have auto print. This is a book title that's no longer being printed or distributed from the publisher. You also might hear print on demand. So this is actually a term to describe a product being printed upon order. So there is no inventory of the product, but it will be printed and shipped to each customer after the purchase is made. And many self-published books or books sold by large online retailers are distributed in this way. You also have a trade bookseller. So this is another term for a retail bookstore or a retail bookseller. And trade booksellers sell to the general public and include independent bookstores, large retail chains, and online stores. So this is kind of cool from a scalability point of view. If you want to launch your own online bookstore, you got to think about branding. Branding is really important, especially when it comes to scalability, but also differentiation. Okay, let me break it down for you. So establishing a clear message, story, and visual treatment of your brand is really important in any industry, not just when it comes to online book selling. Any industry. The whole thing is that you want to really differentiate yourself, right? Because you are unique. Your book selling business is unique. So your book brand should actually take a unique perspective that answers the question, why should customers buy from you in the first place? So once you have honed in on your business model and your niche, do the exercise of writing your brand story. What is your story? It's all about storytelling, especially if you are selling books. You better have a strong story. And this should include your personal journey to entrepreneurship, your why for starting your business, the values that guide you, your mission statement, and the value you bring to the industry, your customers, and the world. Okay, so why you? Why are you? Why should customers even consider you? What is your purpose here? So this is important to think about that. So also consider bringing your ideal customer persona into sharp focus. Honing in on what makes your potential customers tick helps you build your brand around their needs, right? It's all about having a granular strategy here. So this also connects your personal why to a real audience, helping you translate your brand in a way that resonates with others. And you got to have that. You got to have this sort of resonance. You got to have this sort of connection. You got to have this sort of branding, this sort of chemistry, really. Otherwise, you can't really sell your bookstore efficiently. And so when your values match that of your ideal customer, it's actually a win-win. And your brand Bible will be developed through this exercise and should include clear guidelines around voice and tone, marketing strategy, hiring practices, and a visual system for your branding. And you got to have this right off the bat. And so branding comes next, okay? This is where you will develop a logo, design packaging, produce visual assets, and also establish the elements like fonts and colors that will be consistent across websites, social media, and anywhere your brand is visible, especially when it comes to long-term differentiation. Let me talk to you a little bit about cost. So if you want to launch your own online bookstore this year, how much does it cost to open an independent bookstore in the first place? Well, the thing is that the cost of starting a book business will vary considerably depending on your business model. So opening a bookstore in a physical location could require significant funding upfront, while self-publishing and using a print-on-demand model allows you to start a book business on a very low budget. So this is kind of cool from a scalability point of view. So for authors that are looking to self-publish, Costs for editing and cover art should be factored in. So costs actually depend on the experience of the author, as well as the genre and length of the book. So shorter nonfiction books may only cost around $1,000 for editing and art, but longer fiction books may actually require additional editing steps, and the total cost may be several thousands. And other costs include website fees and a marketing budget. Okay, so website fees actually include the money you are paying to the likes of Shopify or WooCommerce. WooCommerce or BigCommerce for that matter. Now, there are funding options and business plans also. This is an important element to think about. So how you decide to fund your business will depend on your budget and needs. So consider bank loans, VC funding, grants, or crowdfunding. Okay, and this is kind of cool because it allows you to scale real fast as well. And with money, you can do a lot of stuff. Okay, and Kickstarter and other crowdfunding platforms allow you to tap into a special fan-funded print set of runs. This is kind of cool. And you can also think about having a business plan, because a business plan is a great tool to help you answer any questions that you might really anticipate from lenders and investors. In terms of pricing your books, you have to be really clear here. The book has to be priced affordably, but most importantly, the pricing has to be in sync with what the customer is expecting from this type of book, and also what your competitors are charging. Because if other authors are charging, this amount, and you're charging this amount, you're just going to make a lot of your potential readers actually just to flee. And you do not want them to flee. You want them to stick with you. Okay, it's important to think about that. So when you think about launching your own online bookstore this year, you got to think about book selling business models. So you have self-publishing and selling your own books online. So when you think about self-publishing, basically you are increasingly empowered, because you have more opportunities when it comes to reach readers and make an income, right? So as an author, you can circumvent traditional publishing channels and produce and sell books via print on demand. I spoke about that a little earlier, and also in digital formats. So while going the traditional route has its advantages, like leaving the business tasks of publishing and marketing to the pros, many tools have actually emerged to help authors navigate the process seamlessly. So this is kind of cool, especially when it comes to scalability. That's really, really fantastic. And what I want to say is that influencers, journalists, and other creators actually, I was actually saying that the influencers, journalists, and other creators actually who have built audiences on social media platforms can actually monetize those relationships through self-publishing and selling on an old channel. So this can be your own Shopify store, your own Shopify website. And you can also think about selling used and vintage books. So thrift businesses have increased in popularity as more customers actually become conscious of waste and sustainability. Though audio and ebooks have emerged to address some of the issue of consumption, many people still prefer the feel of a paper book. So used and vintage booksellers will need to contend with a very high number of SKUs and product listings, because each item will be one of a kind. So online booksellers, therefore, may actually choose to hone in on a specific corner of the market and seek out rare or unique titles within a genre or time period. So that's kind of cool, because it speaks to the whole niche aspect of things. So used and vintage books can be found through a number of sources, including thrift stores. You have library clear out sales. You have garage sales or estate sales also. You have local buy and sell listings. This is another great opportunity for you to actually shine. You have other used bookstores. You have online marketplaces. So unless the used book is rare, vintage, antique, or out of print, it would generally retail for less than the listed price on the book. As such, you may want to be selective about, let's say, the used books that you carry, especially if you are selling online. So you want to think about the effort required to list the book, a one-of-a-kind item, or on your website or in storage. If the book is easy to find elsewhere or doesn't have much demand, your retail price might be too low to justify carrying it. So this is something to really think about, especially if you want to scale over time. Let me talk to you about sourcing books from publishers, distributors, or wholesalers. This is another opportunity. So, if you're planning to sell new books, you'll need to find a supplier. You may choose to work directly with a number of publishers or buy books from a wholesaler or distributor. In some cases, you may actually even get better prices on books, and you will save the hassle of managing multiple relationships. Okay. So, when I speak about managing publisher relationships, it's all about finding the chemistry because as you build relationships with publishers, you'll begin to get more flexibility. And so while some publishers may have some minimums, many do not. So this is kind of cool because you're able to get more flexibility. So through the publisher, authors will write a custom letter to your readers also, so you can have more flexibility. You also can set up your own online store, okay? And your store can be on Shopify, it can be on BigCommerce, it can be on all of those top e-commerce platforms, okay? And alongside your own website, you should consider additional sales channels to expand your reach to more customers. So depending on your niche and genre, there are multiple options. So you have online vintage marketplaces for vintage booksellers. So handmade marketplace Etsy also support vintage resellers. So if you sell vintage or antique books, this channel has a built-in audience looking for this type of item. You can also think about bulk sales for self-publishers. You have crowdfunding sites for self-publishers. You can try bookshop.org. So Bookshop is actually a nonprofit that supports indie bookstores. So this is kind of cool. And this gives the bookstores the ability to stick to one niche and curate their collections around the store's mission. This is kind of cool. You have also pop-ups, markets, and retail. So if you operate online only, there are ways to dabble into retail to see if IRL is actually worth it for your business. Pop-up shops and applying for a table at a local market are actually a low cost and low commitment options. So this is kind of cool. But when it comes to marketing for online bookstores, you have a lot of possibilities. Okay, it really will depend on your strategy, but most importantly, you have to think about what works for the specific niche that you're in, because every niche is different. Okay, and one thing I want to say is that when it comes to marketing, you can start a loyalty program. You can leverage influencer marketing. You can actually invest in learning SEO and content marketing. And as you build a social audience, you can push them to a landing page or your website homepage and offer a perk or discount for subscribing to your email newsletter. And you can also set up social accounts and post consistently with content that bring value to the reading community. It's all about adding value. The more value you add, you're gonna realize that people will love your content, and that way you can monetize that community down the road. So here's a recap here. In today's conversation, I explained to you how to launch your own online bookstore. I gave you the general considerations, the steps, and now the recap. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you next time. Until then, remember, stay marvelous.